Handling objections. This is one of the key elements you are going to face during your outreach stage. If you manage to get a model call where there are no objections whatsoever, then hats off to you, that's absolutely incredible. But usually there will be a couple of common objections which you need to know how to answer. So let's get straight into how exactly you go about replying and obviously getting around these objections. Objection number one would be, why would I need management? Now, with this objection, it's very, very important to mention three key elements of why management is so crucial. Now, the first one is obviously going to be money, and this is usually what will be on the forefront of the model's mind. A model only starts OnlyFans if she is obviously wanting to make more money. So you should let the model know that by using you as her manager, she will be able to massively increase and drive her revenue forward. And that is going to lead to obviously a great change in her life. So maybe add a little hint when you're answering this objection, maybe talk about some of the marketing you guys do. So high level organic marketing or paid promotion, things like that. That works really, really well. But one of the key elements obviously of management is that you are going to be increasing her earnings. Another key element, and one that I believe gets overlooked quite frequently, is going to be time. How much time you can actually save the model. Think about it from their perspective. If they're spending all day producing content, if they're spending all day answering messages, even till the early hours of the morning, this can become quite tiring very, very quickly. So sometimes you'll actually find that the model values, time freedom even more so than money. So in your guys' minds, I know obviously you start an FM agency, you're making loads of money, that's going to be what's at the forefront of your mind, but actually think kind of on the personal level of the amount of time you're going to be able to save these models. They're not going to have to stay up till 3-4 a.m. in the morning anymore because they're going to have chatters on the account. So with you guys, make sure that you remember just how important time and saving the model time is going to be. You're going to be giving them a newfound freedom, and that in many, many scenarios is actually more important than the financial gain. Another huge one that I think a lot of people don't think about is actually accountability. So consistency and motivation. When you're first starting something out, when a model's first starting OnlyFans, no doubt they're going to be super, super motivated. It's new, it's fresh, but once they've been doing it for a few weeks or even a few months, it can become quite daunting quite quickly in terms of how do they actually progress from here? What do they actually do next? So accountability and talking about how you're actually going to keep the model accountable and keep her motivated is a huge one as well, and that is obviously going to guarantee the longevity of this career and obviously of this path that she's choosing to go down. So this can be another really, really great element to use to actually persuade them on a call or in the messages about how you're going to be able to keep them accountable, and by putting a plan in place, that is going to lead them to further success. So accountability, consistency, motivation, that's something that you can really, really help models with. Another objection entirely is going to be if a model wants to see a previous example or obviously speak to a model that you are managing. Now, most of you guys that are watching this are probably completely fresh. Maybe you've got one model, maybe you've got no models. Now, ideally, you're going to want to have some video testimonials. And this is something that we have discussed in a previous lesson. Nothing speaks louder than a video or a recording talking about how great your services are. We've spoken in the past within this course of how you can maybe use things like Fiverr or maybe a friend of yours to create some content for you, to create a testimonial. Or obviously, if you have a model that you're getting some good results with, quite simply get her on a call with you and record a testimonial. That's going to be really, really useful. If you're there discussing how you've improved their life, how you have improved their earnings, etc., that's going to be absolutely key to obviously helping you overcome the objection of a model wanting to see a previous example, because they're seeing with their own eyes that clearly you know what you're doing. Now, obviously, if you are unable to get any testimonials for whatever reason, and I must say, guys, it is super, super easy to do so. You can literally pay £50 on Fiverr, if that, or maybe a friend or a sister, brother, whatever you guys want to do. Now, it's a really, really useful tool in your arsenal, but another tactic you can use to try and get around this, it's a little bit cloak and dagger. I'm not a huge fan of it if you can't get a testimonial, but you can actually say that on the initial call that you have, because obviously, as we keep saying, guys, pushing for a call is the most important part. You can potentially get one of your models onto a call with that model, and then last minute just say that something urgent's come up for them, so it's only going to be you and the potential new model, if that makes sense. So, obviously, if you're trying to onboard a model, say that you're going to have one of the models join the call, and something comes up last minute. bit cloak and dagger, but it can work, and obviously that can help you to get around the rejection. Also, further to that, obviously if you are getting them on a call, that's the main thing as well. You're going to be able to speak to them, explain your value, and hopefully by the end of the call they've forgotten all about the model that was supposed to join. Percentages are something that should really only be discussed on a model closing call, and within the model closing call lesson we talk about a couple of really key ways that will help you to negotiate a great percentage on that call. However, we're talking about DM outreach here, we're talking about outreach via text, so a common objection is going to be, obviously they're going to ask you the percentage. Now you want to only ever really talk about percentage on calls, but on occasion you're going to get a model that refuses flat out to jump on a call until she knows the percentage. So the best way of doing this is going to be in terms of this example reply. So the percentage that we take varies model to model and can range from anywhere between 25 and 50% depending on where you currently are with your earnings. Essentially this question is a bit of a deflector. You want to try and get around the question and obviously try and get them onto a call where you can close them for a high percentage. But if you say that you don't go below 50% on text, maybe they might be scared off until they actually see your value on a call. So at the same time, you're letting her know the percentage can be negotiated. That is going to really help to actually push them onto the call. And once on the call, you can use the technique that we are going to teach you guys. So at the same time, you've also reassured her that she will gain financially and have more freedom, which are two of the key elements that we've discussed. So in the initial response, talk about how the amount we will increase your earnings by and the freedom that we will give you will far outweigh the percentage split that we decide on anyway. So at the end of the day, if she isn't satisfied after that response, it's probably very unlikely she actually understands the importance of management, so it's probably not worth pursuing. Continue the outreach, move on to somebody else. Different countries. It goes without saying that you are going to be speaking with, potentially even signing models that don't live in the same country as yourself. So an objection of theirs may be, is it okay to still work with you guys if you're in a foreign country, things like that. Obviously assure them that it'll work, but I'm going to be completely honest with you guys in terms of language barriers. So to be completely honest, I'd be really wary of signing a model that doesn't speak your language fluently. It's going to be a lot more difficult to communicate with them. If you're having to use things like Google Translate, things like that, it doesn't work particularly well. Also another issue that you may come across is that if you're trying to find a chatter that speaks the same language as your model, because your fans speak the same language as your model and you don't speak that language, it's going to become quite complicated quite quickly. Now, an example of what usually the kind of scenarios it's usually with South American models who maybe predominantly speak Spanish, in places like Mexico, Colombia, things like that. So be really wary. Obviously, if you want to sign the model and you want to use Google Translate and you want to, take the opportunity, feel free. But in my opinion, it's best to just stick with models that speak your own language to begin with initially anyway, just to give you that level of experience. Another common objection you're going to get, obviously, as OFM becomes bigger, there's going to be more management agencies and, there's going to be questions about legitimacy. There's going to be questions of, oh, how have I never heard of you? Things like that. So your response to this objection is going to be along the lines of exclusivity and privacy. Those are two elements that a lot of models actually really do value as well. You want the model to think that she hasn't heard of you yet because you're really exclusive, you keep your clients confidential, you're not too loud on social media because you don't need to be, not because you've just started out. So if they're asking questions about legitimacy, why have I never heard of you, maybe send over a testimonial, send over some results, things like that. But you want to be pushing along the lines of you are a really exclusive, secretive, confidential agency that doesn't feel the need to brag and do a huge kind of marketing campaign on social media on the basis that you're getting some really great results already. So privacy, exclusivity, confidentiality, not because you guys have just started out. So that is going to be the best way to try and get around that objection, mix in some testimonials as well. So guys, hopefully this makes it a little bit clearer of how to handle some objections that most of you are going to get. If you are signing on a model and you get no objections whatsoever, then that is absolutely crazy because it very rarely happens. But if you use these responses, if you use your own initiative, you should be able to get around them and still see great success regardless of any objections you get. Brilliant. See you in the next video.